While the Samsung Z Flip might be seen as the lesser of the two Z Folding models, it outsells the Z Fold comfortably. One of the secrets of the Z Flip's success is the fact that it delivers on that folding phone promise. It gets smaller when folded, so it's not only more convenient, but it carries that nostalgia of flip phones from the past. So is now the time to commit to the folding phone future? I'm Cam Bunton from Pocket-lint, and in this Z Flip 4 review, I'll answer that question. And if you do like it, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any more. The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip looks more like a regular Samsung phone with every iterative update. Now in its 4th gen, the 2022 Z Flip slims down the hinge and takes a subtly different approach to the design to make it look better. The rear panels now appear more seamless, reducing the framing next to the hinge, so the whole thing looks more modern and sophisticated. The camera is larger on the back, fitting in with design trends on recent phones, with a bolder overall aesthetic. There's a nice matte finish to the colours too, particularly the blue and the Bora purple. There remains IPX8 protection against water ingress. Note, there is no dust protection, meaning that if you get caught in the rain, the Z Flip 4 won't care. But at the same time, when folded, the Flip 4's halves don't meet, so there's still a gap through the middle of this phone when folded. The result is that it will draw in lint from your pockets. There's also a fingerprint sensor on the side of the device, so you'll have to get used to unlocking it on the side rather than on the display, but we found the sensor to work really well, unlocking reliably, and not suffering from those phantom touches we get with other devices. The Z Flip 4 feels premium, looks great, and the colour options provide the opportunity to create something unique to you. While that folding action is still incredibly satisfying, we love the finality of closing your phone and slipping it into your pocket. And it still turns heads too, because it's out of the ordinary. These phones are still in the minority and people will be interested in how it works and what it's like. It's an easy conversation starter. So moving on to the displays, and there are two on the Z Flip 4. The main 6.7-inch folding display on the interior with a 1.9-inch display on the exterior. These sit close to the offering on the previous Z Flip, so there's relatively little change here. You'll now get themes that flow from the inside to the outside, so you'll be able to apply widgets to this cover screen so you can glance at the information you need. The exterior display is more of an information screen, although there are a range of options that it offers, including using it as a camera viewfinder, as well as being able to get a feed of information when you need it. Most of the usability is limited to a couple of widgets though, like weather, alarms, and calendar. And while you can see when you have notifications with the dot and swipe through to get what those apps are from, you only get the option to clear them. You can't really read them properly. The internal display, however, remains pretty much as it was previously, covered with UTG, or Samsung's ultra-thin glass. There's an adaptive refresh rate, so you'll get 120 Hz to keep content smooth, while there's also plenty of detail thanks to the high resolution. There's also ample brightness, so you'll have no problems viewing this display in bright outdoor conditions. There's plenty of resolution for detail too, so you'll find the panel just about as crisp as any other smartphone screen. There is a crease in the display of course, and you can feel that dip as you scroll over it or run your fingers over the display. And while it's visible all the time, we've never found that to actually have a negative experience. Watching a movie or browsing online, the crease doesn't actually detract from what you see. Of course, the other big appeal of having a folding phone is using flex mode, being able to sit the phone down and still use the camera without having to balance it precariously. There are many apps optimized for this, but the big one is the camera, where you can have the viewfinder in the top display and the controls on the bottom, or swap it over. But flex mode is available on a range of other places too, including the option to turn it on for other third-party apps. An icon appears allowing the flex mode toggle, although in many cases it's pretty much useless. Opening up shortcuts for notification access, screenshots, brightness, volume, and finally a touchpad, none of which are very useful in any way at all, because you're essentially just halving the display space for no real gain. What you really need to look for is apps that are optimized for flex mode, like Instagram. Here you can capture a reel using the top half of the display to see yourself, so the phone is then self-supporting. It's easier than having to balance a phone somewhere. It's impossible to ignore the fact that the durability on these displays isn't the same as what you'll get on a regular phone. With many opting for the Galaxy Z Flip 3, there's no shortage of people who have had to have the screen replaced because it's starting to separate. There's great novelty in this format of display, but you do need to be aware of the downsides as well. Now moving on to hardware and performance, and there's no shortage of power on the Galaxy Z Flip 4. With a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 inside, this phone has the latest hardware, so everything is smooth and fast. There's 8GB of RAM and storage options from 128GB upwards. That sees the Z Flip 4 keep pace with other flagship devices, meaning you're not making a compromise by choosing this format of phone. Now in practice, everything runs smoothly, although it can get a little warm when doing things like hotspotting or running Android Auto wirelessly in a car journey, but it never gets worryingly hot. The pure power is there, however, so if you want to fire up something like Call of Duty Mobile or Mario Kart, you'll be able to play alongside the best. But just be warned that devices like this are not so well suited to intensive gaming. If you want to play a lot of games, you're better off with a dedicated gaming phone, which at least won't start to close or feel like it's folding when you put pressure in the wrong places. There's a 3700 mAh battery split between the two halves of the Z Flip 4, and it supports 25W wired charging as well as 15W wireless. Neither of these are especially fast, but Samsung doesn't seem to be pushing fast charging in the way that other brands are, and there's no charger in the box either. But the battery life is still pretty good. There's a limit to overall performance because of the battery capacity, with many regular candy bar phones offering around 25% greater capacity. But we've had no problem getting through a full day, but you will need to keep an eye on it with this phone. And finally, let's move on to cameras, and there are two 12-megapixel cameras on the cover of this phone. But there's been a change of sensor from the Z Flip 3, with Samsung saying that the new camera is 65% brighter, so it's a larger sensor overall. The aim is to aid in the capture of light, leading to better images and an improvement in performance in lower light situations. The main camera produces typically Samsung-like photos, which, with additional aid from the scene optimizer, will produce lively pictures with plenty of colour. That's not always accurate to the scene in front of you, because grass is greener and skies are bluer, but the results are the sort of thing you love to share because they look great. It's not the best low-light camera in terms of pure performance, but it will lighten dark scenes to get more detail, or capture a night scene reliably enough to give you a pleasing result. This comes thanks to some processing of longer exposures, but we found the front camera to be pretty weak in low light, softening and suffering from noise in a way that something like the Pixel wouldn't. However, Samsung has something of a trick up its sleeve too, because you can use the cover display as a viewfinder. That means you can take selfies using the main camera on the rear for better results, accepting that the viewfinder only contains a portion of what the final image will show. There's no optical zoom on the Z Flip 4, and you do feel that absence, as this is a premium priced phone lacking that desirable zoom lens. Images soften quickly when zoom is used because it's all digital, either on photos or in video. The ultra-wide is a good companion to the main camera, however it does look a little blurry around the edges, so it's best saved for expansive landscapes where it's less noticeable. Now overall, this doesn't really feel like a hardcore photography device. It feels like a super social device. The ability to flex the phone so it's supported for taking a variety of photos or videos either from the front or the back has immediate appeal to anyone doing a lot of self-capture, but again, we wish the front camera was a little higher quality to really get the best out of every scene. In the end, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 makes a few important updates to this popular folding phone, resulting in a better looking device and bringing the power up to date. There's novelty in the design and many will love the customization that it offers, while the upgraded camera will likely appeal too. But the reality is that these phone displays just don't last as long, and that's something you need to consider when buying. Regardless of the flaws though, there's never been a better time to buy a foldable phone, because the compromises are few and the experience is fun. I've been Cam, I'm at Cam Bunton on social media. If you want to get hold of me on Twitter, you can do, or let me know if you have any thoughts or questions in the comments down below. Again, if you did like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any more. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.